Hello, everyone. Welcome to Weekend Sports. Since the weekly Red Wings breakdown, the Wings did not do fantastic. Well, they won half, but ended up getting kicked out of the playoffs before the end of the week. Montreal made overtime on Saturday night, which officially eliminated the Red Wings. They haven't done terrible. Honestly, they kept themselves alive. End the week. They beat Florida. They beat Tampa. They did what they had to do. Um, just the Canadians ended up getting that last point, even though they didn't win that game.
Yeah, people were upset. It was upsetting. Like I said, they came out and probably played the best period of hockey they played all season.
And
Um,
still lost that Montreal
and
game.
then second, third period just went back to. I mean, it's tough
They
for
got
this team to
unlucky.
play 60 minutes of hockey, and that was a must win. And they only had like two shots on goal against Montreal in the third period, which is ridiculous. That's a game you had to win, and
Really, you should
you
have.
played a period. You played 20 minutes.
You played enough to probably win that game. You didn't get the puck past that goalie in that first period. You had 25 shots
And
on in one period,
that seems to be us
and
this year.
you
We
just
can't.
you didn't get lucky enough to get by. Again, the Wings should win out the rest of the year and be a point out of the playoffs technically, depending on what
They're
Montreal
not
does.
going to win.
They're not going to make the playoffs.
Not winning out.
I say they could.
Good. Yeah. I guess.
Don't matter. It don't matter at all. They're a few points off of last year. You went out, you were like 2 wins short from last year's total. And again, it's just a fight. You do get some cap space this offseason, not a lot, but about 25 million cap going into the offseason as the cap is projected to go up the next few years. Um, and that's kind of where we're at. We're looking into the offseason. Simon Palikia is going to go play in um Grand Rapids for the playoffs there. So Palikia will be out there. Or Sandal Palikia, not Simon.
This year?
Yep.
Okay.
Sandal Palikia will be in Grand Rapids after the season in Sweden has ended. So they're going to see how he's doing out there. There's just things to look at. Who did well this year? Who didn't? Well, we'll do that in like an overall year thing. We're just focusing on the week right now. But again, they played well this week. They beat two teams that aren't easy to beat on the road with Florida and they lost the Florida 4-1. That did not help. But they ended up beating Tampa 3-4-3 in overtime. Casper's had a fantastic year. But yeah, you're just rolling with it now from where you're at. You're playing Dallas right now as the making of this video. And it's tied at 1. They scored while between us starting this video and where we're currently at. It's 1-1 now. And they have the Devils and the Maple Leafs for the rest of the week on the road. So we'll see what ends up happening. We'll see if they can win a couple more at the end of the year and just end above 500. I think that became our goal once we knew we weren't in the playoffs. So just end above 500.
I
Not
don't.
that it does anything for you, but at least you're
Right.
still a
I don't
winning
think it does
team.
anything for anybody in the fan base, and you can sit there and talk all you want. Doesn't matter to us. I mean, it hurts
No.
our draft position the more we win,
Well, it doesn't matter
if that
where.
matters.
It doesn't matter. You're in a terrible position anyways. You ain't gonna get lucky in the draft lottery, and you're not gonna.
Right. That's
So
probably true.
you're currently in purgatory between not being good enough to be a playoff team, but not being so bad you get a high draft pick. That's the
Which is
problem right now.
unfortunate. Yeah.
So again, we'll see where we're at. You're gonna play the Devils after you play Dallas today. You somehow beat Dallas. You're up to 38 wins, and you're definitely going to have a above 500 record. If you lose to Dallas, there's a chance you end the year below 500 if you lose out. So again, it's positives of the end of the year. Do you want to be a winning team, or do you want to just
So if we lose out, how well does that help our draft position?
nothing?
At all?
No, it don't matter. You're in the middle of the crop, but you're going to move up one spot.
Well, I don't know. You can't move into the top 10,
No,
even with a lottery pick.
no.
We don't get part of the lottery pick.
Right now, where you're sitting, you are above 1, 2, 3. Where are we at? Actually, point total before it. We are at 81. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams in the West who are worse than you. Then we got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams.
So you're like the 11th worst team.
Right now, you're tied with New York You might be in technically in the top 10 right now. What do I know? In the East, there are 5 teams worse than you. And then in the West, there are 5 teams worse than you. So you're 11th in order, but you're not going to get anywhere near a lottery pick. The Wings have been terrible with luck in a lottery,
That's true.
so they're not going to get anywhere. I mean, just accept that you're probably going to pick around 11. You might even drop a spot. Who knows? Maybe you'll drop to 12. Wings have never been lucky when it comes to a draft lottery.
We're getting the number
Um,
one pick.
So we're going into the off season with what we have. Again, hopefully, again, my hope, right? You win out this week, and you end the year with a winning record. So you don't technically regress. You regress by 2 games, which really, again, that's just is a toss up, right? Some of those games you should have won anyways. Just you played poorly or you got unlucky, stuff like that. So you're about where you're at. You're stagnant. Again, 25 mil in the off season. We'll see what we can do with it with the cap going up. But again, it's patience, like we always say. And we hate the word now with 9 straight years not being in the playoffs. Your contract situations are getting better. Yeah, you're stuck with people you hate this year with Hall and Tarasenko and others coming back next year.
They should
But
just release Hall. Just get him off the team. Jesus.
but like I said, as time goes on, your cap increases as the cap goes up, and a lot of bad contracts fall off. 2 years, most of your bad contracts are falling off, and you're kind of there. You're just going year by year and see how we can improve, and maybe not get us stuck. With bad contracts, 2 year deals, 3 year deals, unless there's a very, very good free agent that actually wants to play here. Your goaltending situation's not going to get better in the next couple of years, right? Because after next year, you have Talbot and Mrazek. I don't think they'll have Kosa as a number 3. For those who think Kosa is going to be up next
Well,
year,
no, if he
he
isn't
won't.
up, he should be playing in
You
the
say if
Rapids.
he's not, I'd rather have him as a number 1 in Grand Rapids than the number 3 in Detroit.
All right.
Or
Where's
number
Augustine playing?
Augustine's going back to Michigan State next year.
Well, that's probably a good thing.
Right? There's where you're sitting with that. Right? So you're rolling with the same 2 goalies on the team right now. Lyman will be gone next year. They won't re-sign him. Anyone who wants him back, no. You want to move on. You have 2 old goaltenders on your team, and then you're hoping in 2 years Kosa's the guy. Because what are you gonna do after that?
Right.
You have nobody. You have nobody in line besides Kosa right now in 2 years. And then you hope he's ready in 2 years, or else you are regressing
Right.
further than you believe you regressed this year. We didn't really regress this year. We stayed stagnant. You're around the same points. You win a couple more games. You're the same points.
How's your
But
feelings about Kosa? Do you think he's going to
I have a higher ceiling on Augustine in my opinion.
really?
But
Okay.
but Costa might be serviceable. He might be good in the NHL. I just think Augustine has a chance to be better.
Okay.
So Costa could come up. He could be. We could have a Swayman and Ulmark situation
Maybe.
in 4 or 5 years when both goalies are playing. You might have that situation. We don't know
Which is a
because
nice situation to have.
because Kosa hasn't played, and then hopefully you pick the right goalie to keep. Unlike what Boston did with keeping Swayman, and now they're last place in the East.
Well, Swayman was much younger.
Swayman
But
was much younger, yes, but now they're currently sitting last in the Atlantic. Well, last in all the East. They are the worst team in the East this year, which is a difficult thing to think.
right. But before we go, we should have a shout out to the Western Michigan Broncos and
Western Michigan winning.
wishing the national championship their first ever.
Michigan has finally
Good
won
job,
something.
boys.
Everything. Surprisingly, everything else in the state is playing well except for the Red Wings.
Yeah, I don't get it.
You have the Pistons who just made the playoffs, which we will be talking about later this week. Diving into that playoff series as we're not big basketball guys, but diving in that. Tigers playing well. Lions, past couple years have played well. Again, we thought the Wings would be the next team to step it up, and they couldn't. They couldn't get over the hump from what they got up to last year. They lost by a tiebreaker last year. This year, it could literally come down to an overtime loss.
Yeah.
Canadians losing in overtime and you win out, right? You're only down a point in the East. It might come down to that, which again would suck that you only missed the playoffs by a point. You're right there. That is the positive of everything, even though we didn't make the playoffs. You are right
Well,
there.
and every year, you're dealing with middle of the road guys
who don't
uh,
live up to their contract.
who don't live up to their contract. And you got to get lucky. And this year we lost guys like Ghost
Like
and
everyone wants to be,
Perron, and
but you couldn't keep them.
We replaced them with two people who didn't
But
measure up.
but the problem is most people don't understand you couldn't keep them. Right? You want Sider and Raymond to stay here long term. So guess
Right,
what? You had to fork the money and you had to give up some guys you liked
right,
and hope some others work. And again, how was Eishman supposed to know Tarasenko wouldn't play as well as he did in Florida
right,
last year? How was he going to know that? Gustafson wasn't supposed to be a replacement of Gossesbeer. No one was going to put that production, but he was supposed to be a power play specialist.
right.
Did not live up to what he's supposed to. You can't be mad at Eichmann for signing people who are supposed to be at a certain level and then they get here and they're not.
Right.
Because that leads to
I'm
coaching.
I'm excited to have Todd McClellan for a full year next year. I think he is the right coach.
I think that will help tremendously.
And
Again,
I think they really just need to get tougher and sign some really good role. If they're not going to sign a superstar, I don't think. I
no.
just can't see them doing that. But you could sign some guys who can be physical and can play with heart and play, you know. And I just, like I said, that's what this team seems to need is just tougher mentally and tougher physically players. Um, and you can do that. I mean, they can find those guys. I hope they bring up, some more youngsters next year to play bigger roles. I'm just tired of the Halls. I'm tired of Petrie. I'm tired of guys who just aren't part of the future here.
Well,
just bring them up and see what happens.
Listen, I'm willing to give Patrick Kane a 2-year deal or another 1-year deal because he again is still playing well.
And I know you disagree with me, but the only guy I would consider if they see and they feel that he can contribute to this team is Jonathan Toews. If they could sign him for a year,
sure, a year
to be a center, to kind of reunite him with Kane and DeBrincat.
Speaking of Patrick Kane, I think he just scored. No, DeBrincat scored. DeBrincat scored. To give you the timing of when we got this goal number 2 scored by DeBrincat. But again, to be fair, sure, bring him in for a year if he's wanting to be here and play for a year. Because in 2 years, I'd rather have the unrestricted free agent class and save yourself for 2 years down the line. Because in 2 years, it's going to be a much bigger draft haul because you have Austin Matthew, Nathan McKinnon, and Connor McDavid all sitting in the same free agent pool.
Are they saying that's offside?
They might. I don't know.
Oh,
but
I'm too busy watching the game. I'm sorry.
But they're in. I'd rather wait. Don't put any money down in this offseason. Save as much money as you can for next offseason if you want to make a splash. Because again, you have Leon Draisaitl as a free agent, Austin Matthews as a free agent, Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid, Mikko Rantanen, on Terry Panarin, Elias Peterson, all free agents.
Well, Elias Peterson, we probably could get fairly cheap. But I don't want that. Like I said, we need a legit number one center, if not just another Dylan Larkin to put down the middle. If you had
William Nylander, all free agents. Again, where you think they fit on our team is one thing, but they're all free agents. Rasmus Dahlin, free agent in 2020 in a couple of years. Again, it's looking good for them in a couple of years if they want to wait that long.
Okay.
But again, it comes down to the patience of everybody. Because do you want to wait that long? And most people are going to say, no, we want to play off next year. And it does suck. But they're saying that's actually this playoff, this contract season. So this off season might be when you want to put some money down, I guess. Or I don't know what this thing is wanting. Because I want to know who are my unrestricted free agents. 2025 unrestricted. Here we go. I fixed that. Whatever was going on with that. But yeah, you have a lot better free agents coming up. But again, you want to think about this. Mitch Marner is the top free agent this offseason.
He's not. He's another wussy.
You don't really want Matt Duchene, John Tavares. Again, I would sign Patrick Kane for another year or two if he wants to stay here. Brad Marchand. Imagine bringing in Brad Marchand.
He's the kind of tough guy we need, but for a year.
Nobody would be happy with him playing here, but He would be somebody who gets to be. He's 36. Again, you don't want to sign these aging guys.
Well, if they got something in the tank and you can give it for a year. But again, like I said, they're just patching the work until, you know, these I don't know.
It's when do you want to? Because you look at your cap in the future. A lot of the contracts fall off within the next 2-3 years. He has not. Eichmann has made sure if something fails right now. So like if next year we regress, nobody is on this team within the next 2 years after that. And it's a complete rehaul of whoever you want to sign, whoever's coming up, right? You have a blank slate coming up in 2-3 years if this really is a failure. And let's say Eichmann gets fired, whoever's next up will have almost a blank slate in 2 to 3 years time,
Right.
which is kind of good.
Yeah. It
Besides
is.
your core guys, but we'll see what ends up happening. We got on a tangent for the future, but listen, let's hope this week. I just want to end up above 500, not really regress too much, and just move on to the off season with some positives more than a losing streak. Is basically what my goal is for this last week of the year. It sucks, but it's what we got to do.
I guess that's all you can hope for. I mean,
You
but
have some
at the same time,
positivity
it
to build
doesn't
on.
really matter if they win or lose. And you're telling me it doesn't matter draft wise or nothing else.
It
So
doesn't matter draft wise because what
these
you
are
had.
hard games. I mean, it shows a lot of things that these guys are coming out and playing hard. I
They said there's 2 games left. So, and you have 3 games left. There's 2 games left. So, in order for you to gain draft stock, the Rangers have to win a game. You can't catch up. The Penguins cannot catch up to you. So you're not going in the East. You cannot even drop in any kind of standings. In fact, if you win, you might move up in the draft standings because you might end up hopping the Islanders.
hmm,
It's a possibility. In the West, though, you have a chance to technically hop Anaheim if they win out. Otherwise, it doesn't matter if you lose or win. You're stagnant. You ain't going nowhere.
right.
So end the year positive. That's what I want. Just go on a 3-game win streak, beat Dallas, beat New Jersey, beat Toronto, and just end with some momentum. And you can feel a little bit better about yourself, I guess.
That sounds like a plan. I mean,
But
there's nothing else you can do.
no,
You're in a position.
that's where we're at. But hey, so it's the end of the year. We'll dive deeper into the offseason once it hits. Kind of go over some stuff. And go over the playoffs because we like watching hockey. We'll give our prediction who's going to win the cup within the next couple weeks too. With all that being said, though, if you do like what you see, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think about the Wings and how they've played this year. Again, we got one more week. And, until next time, we'll see everybody soon.